There's 5 texts that you should absolutely never send a woman. Unfortunately, after coaching guys for the past 10 years, these texts are completely common. Almost every guy has sent them, and I can almost guarantee if you pull out your phone right now, you'll find that you're guilty of at least 2 out of these 5 texts. Hi, I'm Bobby Rio here with Calvin Jamison. He is my one of my lead coaches for the past couple years, and today I brought Calvin on because we're going to be talking about 5 texts that you need to avoid sending women. And as Calvin has been doing a ton, just I think about 1,000 sessions of coaching sessions over the last year, he's seeing these patterns repeat over and over again. So in this video, I brought Calvin on to go through the 5 texts you have to avoid sending. And then he's also going to show you 5 examples of much better texts to replace these with. So first off, how's it going, Calvin?
Oh, it's fantastic. I just want to get the word out here because too many guys are making these same mistakes.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's almost like Groundhog Day when you read client texts a lot of times because you see the same exact text. And that's actually a sign that that they're doing it wrong, is that you can literally look at a million, we can put out all our recent clients and read the text and not be able to tell which of the clients sent it because they're that similar, unfortunately. So why don't we go through the 5 texts that we want to avoid sending women?
Well, the first category is needy texts, right? These are texts that on a subconscious level show that you are concerned that she may not still like you, and so you're just checking in. Right? Now, some of these are, what are you up to? How's it going? Text me later if you're going to be back. Oh, I'm going to the gym. Text later if you want. What time are you coming back? That's a bad one, especially if you know she's out with friends. What are some other needy texts you can think of, Bobby?
Yeah, so I mean, if you think of the word needy, it really stems from this idea of needing reassurance. And whether you want to admit this to yourself or not, a lot of guys are blind to this, right? We have this sort of this blind spot where we think we're sending it because we're being nice or we want to hear from her. But really it's coming from a place of, I need to know that things are still good between us. And what it means is you're sending her something so that she responds and you can go, whew, okay, all right, she's out with her friends, but she responded, I'm okay. One of the 2 texts that I always say not to send is, we're talking again, this is specifically in the beginning phases of dating a girl, but good night and good morning texts are very needy because it's almost like you want to be the first thing she hears of from in the morning and the last thing at night. Those are needy. Another one that I've seen over and over, I'm sure you see this too, Calvin, is the explainer texts.
Those are bad.
This is when you text a woman something and maybe like it's a joke, or maybe she just doesn't get it and she just writes like a question mark, or she doesn't give you the response you were expecting, and all of a sudden you freak out and you're like, did she take my text the wrong way? Let me clarify, and then you write back. We've seen
you over-explain the joke and you go, like, oh, I didn't mean to imply that you had done anything wrong. I was only referencing the fact that she's not even reading the rest of it. You've already lost her.
Another one that is on the needy side, we see clients do this all the time. Inside jokes are great, right? If there's a legitimate inside joke you have with a woman, that's fine. But a lot of times guys try to push an inside thing. So maybe 3 dates ago, she mentioned something casually and they try to squeeze it into the they try to bring it up and she doesn't even know why you're bringing it up. And then you try to, going to the explainer is when you then clarify, well, you said that when you were a little girl, you used to watch, Miss Strawberry Shortcake. So that's what the Strawberry Shortcake.
She already forgot.
And she's like,
that
what?
She told you that.
And it comes across as like, whoa, you're really looking for my approval, right? Neediness is needing approval. It's needing reassurance. Yeah. It's like anytime you're trying to like get something from her, she can feel it and it's an instant turnoff. So
it's really gross. And you know, Bobby, I'll even say, I've even seen one worse than that. Sometimes I'll see a guy just write, I like you. Right? It doesn't get more needy than that, because guys, whether you realize it or not, you're only telling her that because you're hoping she says it in exchange. So she feels this invisible string attached, like she has to respond to you. She may even say something back to you like, I like you too, but ironically, she's losing interest in you even as she writes that.
Yeah, so before Calvin gives you what you should be sending instead, because there's obviously going to be situations where you haven't talked to her in a little while, you're not going to maybe see her for a few days, and you do want to keep the momentum going. So Calvin's going to tell you what text to send instead. But if you're wondering, how do I know if my text is needy or not? How do I know? What I always tell clients, and I know you give them the same sort of advice, is does your text have a invisible punctuation mark. Is it a question mark or is it a period? So a question mark is, and sometimes it flat out is, how's your day going? That's a question mark. How's your night going? Question mark, right? Question mark means I need a reply from you. And if I don't get the reply, I'm gonna feel tension and I'm gonna feel like, why isn't she replying? And she knows that, which then puts pressure on her of, she's out with her friends, she gets that text, she's like, oh, I gotta reply to him and tell him I'm out with my friends. A period is, you're sending something for the pure enjoyment of you sending it, and if she doesn't reply, it doesn't make a difference to you. And that's the kind of text that is not needy. Why don't you give them examples of what we mean by this? And also, you have a little name that you call these type of texts.
Oh yeah, so we call these, instead of needy texts, send emotional trigger texts. Because what you really want is, you just don't want to let much more time go by without hearing from her. So instead of asking a needy question, shoot her something interesting. Shoot her something that's going to put a smile on her face. Women will be attracted to responding to something that's fun. Maybe there's a question, but it's a silly question, just guaranteed to create a game between you two. Or maybe you're just saying a statement. Here's a couple of examples. Maybe you send her this: thinking of getting my dog a tramp stamp. Know any good tattoo artists? Maybe you send her this one: I'm bored. Draw me a picture. I like dinosaurs. Or maybe you send her this one: am I the only one who gets perverse pleasure when assholes from high school get fat? Thank you, Instagram. Or maybe you send her this one: I just overheard a girl calling some guy a random creeper. Can you translate this to womanese for me? Or how about this one: I just realized which celebrity you remind me of. Crazy, crazy.
What is great about all those texts, and again, none of these are like Shakespearean classic texts.
No, they're not.
But they're not logical, right? They're silly, they're fun, they're you amusing yourself more than anything. And that's what women actually like. They want to be with a woman who's just all about having fun in the moment. He's playful. And even if she doesn't respond, you got amusement out of that. And again, these are examples of texts, that Calvin has or some of his clients have sent. They're not necessarily what we're saying for you to send, but it's the mindset of, I'm going to shoot this sort of funny thing out there because it makes me laugh thinking about it. And it gives her a little glimpse of my personality. Hopefully it puts a smile on her face. But if it doesn't, once I send it, I've just put my phone back in the pocket and I'm not waiting to hear how was her day or what time is she going to be back from her friends. That is the difference.
Yeah, that's the great thing. If she ignores one of your needy texts, you look really bad because she's left you hanging as you tried to ask her a serious question. If she ignores one of these emotional trigger texts, you both know that you didn't really need an answer to what tattoo artist you should take your dog to for a tramp stamp.
Yeah.
You both know you were just screwing around, you were entertaining yourself. You're basically sending her a text with the same attitude as if you were opening an app and playing Angry Birds. It's just your amusement. So you don't really lose the credibility and the status if she ignores you.
All right, let's talk about the next text that we see over and over again. The next type of text, and then we'll give you some examples of specific text that we do see. But what is the next type called?
Right. The second type of text you do not want to send is called the plain vanilla text. I also call it the placeholder text. Now this one's not as bad as the needy text, but it's still bad because what it is she's asked you some sort of question, and with a plain vanilla text, all you do is respond back with a bare bones, fact-based, logical answer. Now you might say, I need to answer her. Why is this bad? Well, it's bad because it's a wasted opportunity. Like if you're playing chess and you're 45 minutes into a chess game and you have a chance to get her into checkmate, why would you waste a move by moving a pawn out of the starting position, right? Maybe it's not inherently bad, but it certainly wasted a chance where you could have made a better move. So we want every one of your texts to be creating attraction by being funny, mysterious, interesting. Here's some examples of a client I was working with recently who was sending nothing but these plain vanilla texts. So the girl was out with her friends and texted my client, "What are you up to?" He texted back, "Just went to Butler Street." Well, Bobby, are you interested in that response?
I mean, if anything, she might write back, what's Butler Street or whatever.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's really, she really is probably at that point going, I don't even care what Butler Street is.
She doesn't even care, right? She doesn't even care. She's crossing him off the list for the rest of the night in terms of who she's thinking about, right? So I asked my client, I said, dude, what is Butler Street? He goes, oh, it's a street where there's this bar that me and my friends like to go to, McAllister's. I went with my friends. And I said, okay, that should have been the text right there. And I started teaching him, instead instead of sending plain vanilla texts, you need to send mischievous anecdotes, right? You need to send an anecdote, a little story about a little something you're up to that makes it sound fun. If you can include an element of mischief, all the better. So I asked him, who'd you go with? He said, oh, my friends Richard, Zach, and Matt. I said, okay, man, this totally should have been your text. When she texted you, what are you up to? You should have texted, I'm over here with Richard and Zach at McAllister's and we need your opinion. Matt's got this really ugly girl hitting on him and he wants to make her unattracted. What's something he could do to totally turn her off? It's fun, man. It's fun and it makes her think, oh, wow, this guy I'm dating has this life going on. He's out with his friends. He's having a fun moment. He's even calling on me now to be interesting. That's what she's going to think. And it's going to make her up her game and write you back a more interesting, creative text that she'll actually enjoy sending.
Yeah, one of the things Calvin and I both tell clients is, and I usually stress this in person, meaning when you're with a woman, you want to get her playing a game with you, right? It doesn't have to be an actual game, but you want the focus on the two of you interacting and having fun. Well, it's the same thing with Calvin's text there that he recommended his client send, because now she's going into her brain and she's like, what? And now she's being playful back. Tell him to tell her this. And now you guys are on this same game that you're playing together.
Yeah.
And she's having fun with it. And even though you're not in person, you're strengthening that attraction and that bond that you had when you guys were together. You're now strengthening. And you don't have to keep it going. A lot of guys will make the mistake of, you've probably seen it, where not, just going back and forth. It's like, no, you're with your friends. She responds. Maybe she writes back whatever her little opinion is. You go, that's golden. I'm gonna tell Matt that. And then you drop it because you're out with your friends.
Yeah.
You don't need to keep texting her all night. That's, I think, I just wanted to throw that in. But as you can see, I think that's great. Any kind of way that you can bring her into it in a fun, playful way. So why don't we go into the next one?
Yeah, well, so the next example is this poor client of mine. He had kept the plain vanilla going a little bit longer, and the girl had then texted him a little bit later when he was heading home. She said, how's the drive? He wrote back, making great time. How was dinner?
Boring.
That's really boring. Then all she wrote back was Liberty Steakhouse. He wrote back, I was thinking about going there earlier. She texted, what did you eat instead? He wrote back, I just ate the chicken out of those leftover dumplings. What about you? And they proceeded to have a boring conversation about Liberty Steakhouse. Bobby, I'm bored to death hearing that.
I was falling asleep.
I couldn't stand it. And I said, okay, man, here's how it should have been. Okay, you should have found a way, when she asked, how's the drive, flip it into a mischievous anecdote. So I suggested this. She texts, how's the drive? He should have texted, cop totally saw me speeding, but I exited the frontage road and looks like he didn't follow me. Maybe getting texts from you is my good luck charm. Now you're keeping her engaged. This is actually a fun text to read. She's gonna laugh, she's gonna write back an opinion. We've given her now something she can react to. She could say, oh, how scary, or, oh, good thing that cop was lazy, or, why are you speeding? Especially on a night when you know you've been drinking. Hopefully he wasn't drinking, but you get what I'm saying. Yeah. She would come with something more interesting.
All right, yeah, so as you can see, there's always opportunities to twist something into something a little bit more mischievous, a little bit more playful, fun, something less boring and vanilla.
Yeah.
What's the third type of text that guys are sending that you're saying not to, that you've seen over and over again?
Okay, so the third type of text you never want to send is the comforting text, okay? Don't send the comfort text. Now, what is that? That's where you know that maybe something's going on in the girl's life that might not be ideal conditions, and you try to win brownie points by being Mr. Sensitive and supportive. And maybe you write her something like, hey, how's studying for that exam going? How'd that exam go? Oh, are you feeling any better? Can you think of any other examples, man?
Oh, man, I see these all the time. It's like the girl's like, maybe the girl cancels a date because she's sick or whatever, and then all night, hey, hope you're feeling tomorrow. You feeling bad? It's like you're trying to be a knight in shining armor to her. You're trying to be that, but really what you're being is a nice guy. And here's the deal. If you're sending her the how did your exam go? And she's got 5 other guys in the friend zone. Guess what? they're sending her.
Yeah, they're
They're
all
sending the
that
same
thing.
goddamn
Yeah.
text.
Yeah.
Right? This is the problem with being a nice guy. One of the biggest problems with being a nice guy is anything a nice guy thinks to send, every other nice guy, which most guys are, has thought to send that same exact text. So you might think, I'm showing her I care. Well, guess what? So did 15 other guys that she's friends with send her that same exact text.
Don't even think about it. Yeah. Instead, what you want to do is send her a challenging text, right? Women are attracted to the guy who challenges them to be the best version of themselves. So maybe instead you say, oh, I know you're going to kick that virus's ass. Now, boom, that gives her something to react to. Now, this takes me to another example from a client I was working with recently. So this particular client was dating a girl who had just had LASIK surgery two weeks prior. Then she had just gone for her 2-week later follow-up. And apparently her eyes, if you ever know this after LASIK, she'd had little red spots in her eyes for the 2 weeks and she got a checkup. So here's what really happened. He texted her, "Tell me you got some good news on your eyes." She wrote back, "They're fine. Good vision, and they will definitely be great this weekend." That was horrible, right? That was horrible. About as plain and bad as can be as a comfort text. Now, let's take a look at what I taught him he could have done better. Here's my example. Let's say she texted him, "The LASIK went fine. Good vision." He could have replied, "Oh, really? Let's put that to the test. Next time I see you, I'm gonna bring a Where's Waldo book. You better find that red and white son of a bitch on every page." Now that would have been a fun and sexy text that would have showed her that he believed in her, he knew she was strong, and he was already looking forward to more good times with her, and she would want to live up to his opinion of her.
Also, it's just expressing personality over text, which is probably, I mean, that's one of the biggest things, right? If you're not with a woman and she gets that text that you just gave the example, not only is it a little fun, a little challenging, but she's not getting that from anybody else.
Right.
So the more you do this with a woman, the more you think a little bit more in the line of what Calvin is saying. Again, match it to your personality, of course, but the more you're doing that and you're adding this element of, even that line at the end, like, you better find that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
It's a very unique thing to say.
Yeah.
And the more you're doing that, now you're becoming you're no longer a cardboard guy in her phone. You're this 3-dimensional guy that she's imagining you saying it, and she's picturing it, and she's laughing about it, and you're building something with her as opposed to hope it went well, So let's move on to the next one, because the next one is something guys can get seriously wrong. And unlike the first 3 that we gave, when you get this one wrong, it can instantly just ruin everything with a woman. So what is that one, Calvin?
That's right, okay? The 4th type of text you never want to send is a sexual text. Now, I know what you're thinking. You've heard about sexting and it's this wonderful thing. Well, you really need to understand it before you try it at home. Here's the problem with sexual texting. If you dive right in and try to just send her a completely sexual text out of context, out of the blue, when you were just having a G-rated conversation with her, it comes across cringy and it comes across like you are sexually inexperienced. Like, if you had sex with her and you're trying to bring it up, it makes it seem like you're trying to remind her so she doesn't forget and she wants to do it with you again. Like it's the highlight of your whole life. Another reason why it's bad is a lot of guys will go in and they'll make a sexual joke, like a double entendre, right? Like a girl might be texting, "Oh yeah, I'm just baking." And he writes back, "Well, I wish I was over there buttering your rolls." And the problem with that is that it turns sex into just a joke, right? Because there's nothing there to be taken seriously. And he just comes across as a clown and a buffoon, right? That's the problem with that.
One of the things you got to be really careful with getting sexual over text. The first thing that you have to do is you have to understand this idea of calibration. Calibration means figuring out where you're standing in this interaction and then what's possible and what is most likely to happen. So if you text her and she's out with her friends, well, obviously she's not really going to get sexual with you. If you text her and she's at work, she's probably not going to reply in too sexual of a way. So one of the things that you always want to do is if you're like at the point, again, where you're like, yeah, you know, this girl is actually kind of cool like that. And a lot of girls are. A lot of girls will, you know, I've gotten texts from girls like at work and I'm so wet thinking about you. Not every girl's like that though. You have to understand that and you have to know where she's at. If you're not sure, one of the things Calvin and I always say is that first off, you calibrate to where she's at. Meaning if she texts you something like, you're like, hey, I'm at home watching Netflix tonight, that's an opportunity, right? So
that's right. Instead of diving in with a sexual text, we recommend that you do sexual baiting. Okay? Here's an example. A client of mine had just started dating a girl, had only slept with her a couple of times, and sent her this message. I'm getting in the shower right now, giving me flashbacks to my shower with you. Now that's cringy.
It's also neat that I would also categorize that as a needy text because he needs reassurance that, like, you know, he's kind of bringing it back up to like, it's cringy and it's needy.
Yeah. Here's another one. He outdid himself. The same guy in the same week texted her, just woke up from a nap, lay on me. Once again, it's about sex, but it makes him seem dorky. Now, let's look at what you should be doing instead. Like Bobby Rio mentioned, the antidote to sexual texting is sexual baiting, all right? So let's imagine she writes, oh, I'm just watching a movie. You write, is it a naughty movie? Now, you see, you haven't taken things all the way to sexual and X-rated. All you've done is kind of crack the door open. Now, if she's digging it, if she's liking it, she can take that next step. If she's not into it, she can just laugh and say, oh, ha, no, I'm watching The Princess Diaries. And you haven't really gone out on a limb. All you did was kind of push a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's really a skill you want to master when it comes to sexual texting. And if you're not sure, if you're working with Calvin or any of our coaches, run your text by them before you send it, right? If you're not sure, run it by them. If you're not working with a coach and you're completely on your own and you're not sure, don't send it.
Yeah.
You know, don't send it because I always say you have to play a game of probability, right? Everything in life is probability. And if you have to look at the risk reward of sending that text, well, the reward is she's into it and she responds good. But the risk is she's totally creeped out and you blow it with her. It's not worth it because if she likes you, you're still going to see her in person. If you don't send that text, you can still hang out with her, still get sexual. You can still do all these things. If she doesn't like it, you just blew it all up. And if you're not sure, right? If you've never done it before, if it's something that you're new with, just don't send it. And if you're like, well, this girl's totally into it, I am kind of good once I get going, then just keep what Calvin said in mind. Bait her with a little comment like, you know, is the movie you're watching naughty? And if she's in that mood, right? If she's in that mood, she might write back, oh yeah, like that, you know, it's my favorite type. Again, with calibration, even if she responds back that she's watching a naughty movie, you have to think of a ladder and you don't jump into a comment like, well, how big is your vibrator, right? Because that's like, you're going from level, you know, gear 1 to gear 12. It's like you got to ease into it and subtly see where she's going. So that's something you got to be conscious of. Now, the last text that you don't want to send is something that I can't tell you how many clients are guilty of. I actually, years ago, I made this exact mistake and I've seen horror story after horror story going through guys' text with this one, and that's the confession text. This is when you send, a lot of times it's a female friend, an ex-girlfriend that you haven't talked to in a while, a girl that you were dating that pulled away and you're not sure, and you go, oh, I gotta let her know how I feel, right? My text to a female friend once was, I wrote her, it was like 2:00 in the morning, I'd come back and I was, you know, obviously drinking. And I was like, man, I gotta just tell her. And I wrote, I have to admit I'm attracted to you. And like, I just sent that. And it, you know, of course I got the pity pat, you know, when she saw me again, you know, and she just tried to like act like it never happened.
Yeah, you're such a good friend.
You know, I've seen I mean, the worst version that I've seen of this, a client was in the friend zone and one night he couldn't, I mean, we were making such progress with this girl and then he got drunk. A lot of times these texts come when you're drunk, as you see, and he wakes up and he looks at his phone and he not only sent the girl a text that says, I'm in love with you, he also texted her dad, I just have to let you know I love your daughter and I'll treat her better than anybody else will. And, you know, he called me up, he's like, can I recover from this? And I'm like, I gotta be honest, man, I don't think this is recoverable.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
So, you know, the thing I want you to get out of this is that you don't ever want to reveal your feelings over text. You're not going to get out of the text zone by revealing your feelings. And as much as you might ask a guy like Calvin or I, what should I text her then? How do I let her know over text? What do you say to those guys, Calvin?
There is no better version of the confession text. You just don't do it. It's like a nuclear bomb. There is no good way to do it. The way to get out of the friend zone, or the way to get that girl you like, or the way to get your ex back is hang out with her in person, be fun, be flirty, turn her on in person, make a move, see what happens. No need to explain your feelings.
Yeah, you can never confess your way out of the friend zone. You can never confess your ex back, right? You get out of the friend zone with a kiss, really. Every time any guy's ever got out of the friend zone, it's that first kiss, and then you're like, oh, okay, like something, our relationships change. It never changes verbally. Very important, especially verbally over a text. So yeah, I know if you're watching this, one of the things guys really have found valuable with Calvin, as you can see with this, and I mean, I get emails from one of the guys, calls him King Calvin. He's helped him out so much. Is that you're really good at writing and helping guys craft these texts, which in this day and age, I mean, I would say it's probably 50-50 in terms of importance level, meaning nowadays, being able to text really good, and not that like you need to text really good, but you have to have social intelligence over text is just as important as that in-person meetup, because more than 50% of your interactions with her are going to take place over text.
Right.
So what do you do for guys? I mean, you gave some examples, but talk to us a little bit about, and for guys interested in coaching with Calvin, I am going to put a link. You can see that below. It'll go into the different packages he has and stuff. But guys that are wondering, how does this work in terms of helping them with their text, and what else do you help them with?
Well, I help them with everything. First off, I get to know the guy's life. I find out exactly who are the girls he's interested, or the girl he's interested in. What's the history? What are their existing inside jokes? How often does he see her? What city does he live in? Where should he try to get her to meet up? I'll do everything from planning the date to teaching him exactly what to say on the date. Or if he runs into her at different events and can't get a date with her yet, I'll write him little scripts of something to say when he bumps into her that's gonna start getting her interested, start getting her to notice him. Then when it's time, I'll write the text for the guy. I'll get the reply coming in from the girl. He sends me a screenshot or an email. I'll write him the next reply, and we'll keep going till we get that date. And I'll teach you how to make a move the right way.
Yeah, I just want to add one more thing, because Calvin brought something up, and this is something that to be honest, I don't even do this very often with my clients, but he does it, and he's amazing at it. What he said is, and I get guys, I see this, and I'm like, wow, this is great stuff, where he actually scripts out, because a lot of guys don't know what to say, and it's very easy to go, when you see her act this way or say these sort of things, but I've seen you literally write, and you actually predict pretty good. One of the things that one of your clients, you predict what the girl, you're like, she's probably gonna say this, and then when she does, this is what you say. And I can't believe how much you nail what she's gonna say, and clients are actually shocked. They're like, you said she was gonna say this, and she did, because like I said, I get a lot of clients that I refer to Calvin, and they kind of follow up with me, giving me their testimonials and whatnot, and that's why I actually got him on this to go over this, because I noticed, in addition to those scripts that he writes, the texting stuff he helps them with has been really phenomenal. So again, if you like this video, hit like, leave us a comment, let us know, especially Calvin, he's gonna be doing more of these. Let us know what you want to see Calvin or I cover in future videos. And if you're interested in learning more about coaching with Calvin, we will put a link below that goes over exactly what the process is and the various packages he offers. So thanks for coming on today, Calvin.
Quite a pleasure.